Hello, I'm Samaha Rawahi. Welcome back to Marrakesh Coffee. Today, I'm brewing a cup of coffee with Anabel González, former WTO Deputy Director-General and currently Vice President for Countries at the Inter-American Development Bank. I'm thrilled to welcome her back to the WTO and hear her latest updates. But first things first, coffee. Hello, Anabel. This is for you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us today. And welcome back to the WTO. You've been missed.
Well, thank you for the warm welcome. I'm delighted to be here at the WTO, an institution that is so crucial in shaping global trade. And also, well, the WTO is home for me, so it's always good to be back.
Of course. It seems like you have a lot of stories to share with us. We'd love to hear more. So maybe we can start off with you sharing with us your earliest memory of the WTO.
Well, I've been engaged with the WTO in many different capacities, as a government official, as a member of the Secretariat, as a partner in another international organization. So I have many, many memories, but let me maybe pick a couple of them. First was probably April 1994. As a young government official at the Ministry of Foreign Trade of Costa Rica, I had the opportunity to go to attend the Marrakesh ministerial meeting. So I was there when the WTO started, and that actually marked me as a multilateralist from there on. So that was an exciting memory.
Wow.
A year later, I led a team that brought a dispute against the U.S. for textile restrictions. It was the first dispute of a small developing country against a larger advanced country. So that was also very interesting. I was in Seattle in the ministerial conference. I was asked to chair a trade and labor group. That was a very tough job. Then came to the Secretariat as the Director of Agriculture. And at that time, Pascal Lamy led a very important effort. The ministers of leading countries were here to try to conclude the Doha negotiations. And they worked very hard, and at the end it didn't happen. And I felt a little bit sorry for that. And then, I can go on. I was a partner from the World Bank. I'm a partner now from the Inter-American Development Bank, working closely with the WTO. And of course, I was Deputy Director General here at the organization too.
Perfect. That's really fascinating, especially the fact that you mentioned you've been here since the beginning when the WTO was established and when the Marrakesh Agreement was signed. It takes us really good to our next question, which is, speaking of your time as DDG, what would you say is one of your lasting memories from that experience?
Well, I think I would choose 17 June 2022, 4 a.m.
Okay. Wow.
At the time, it's very
Very
precise, but
specific.
yeah, but you'll understand why. At the time, we were at the room that was packed with exhausted government officials who had been working for 5 days nonstop to try to conclude the 12th Ministerial Conference. And at that moment, the US and China informed the room that they had reached convergence on an agreement on what was referred to as the TRIPS waiver for COVID-19 vaccines. That was a very, very contentious topic. I was very fortunate that under the guidance of Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, I had facilitated the process for a number of months before the ministerial conference. So, and without that, it wouldn't have been possible to have a successful MC12. So when that happened, I was very pleased that MC12 could conclude successfully, and I was very honored to have been a part of it.
That's amazing. That's amazing. It's been really enlightening to hear about your experiences. Now, building on that, I'd like to explore one of WTO's current focus areas, which is reglobalization. How do you interpret this concept, especially given the discussions at the recent public forum?
I'd like to take a word from the first Director General of the WTO, Peter Sutherland, who, when discussing the new global framework on trading goods and services that was being established in Marrakesh, said it's all about opportunity. Opportunity to trade, opportunity for economic growth, opportunity for employment, opportunity to promote sustainable development, and he said a very important opportunity to try to foster peace in the world. If we fast forward to today, 30 years later, I think the WTO continues to be as relevant and as needed to help countries tap into new sources of trade growth, to use trade as a leverage to address these global challenges such as climate change, and also to de-escalate trade tensions. All of this is very important in the context of reglobalization, which to me is basically another opportunity to bring people, businesses, and even entire countries all together to benefit from trade, leaving none behind.
Very interesting perspective. So far, Annabelle, we've covered wonderful memories and we've talked about the shifting dynamics of reglobalization. Now, I'd like to get your perspective on the future. Where do you see the WTO in the next 30 years?
Well, I want to think that the WTO will be reformed. It's actually being reformed as we speak. And I think this is very important. And this will not happen, I think, by inaction, by business as usual, or by waiting for a change of heart. I think this requires decisive action. On the one hand, to reclaim the role of trade policy as a driver of growth and development. Trade policy can be used for many objectives, and a number of them can be very commendable. But the reality is that using trade policy, to drive other objectives such as national security or climate change or others, the results of that may be mixed at best. And what we know for sure is that making trade more difficult does not make it less costly, and that it's usually consumers, and normally the more vulnerable, that end up paying the price. We know that on one hand. We also know that trade has been very resilient, but that we need trade to grow more. Yeah. So it's important that policymakers, in my view, recapture this notion that trade policy is a very important driver for growth and development. So that's one point. Second point is that I think in the current context, it's important to rebalance the concept of trade and national security. When many threats are considered national security, then that can have an impact on trade and the trading system. And of course, these concerns are very relevant. But finding the right balance, there's an author that speaks about resizing these concerns, I think will also be important. And last but not least, I also believe that it's very relevant, as I said, to adjust the WTO to the current times. And that means addressing important challenges like the topics of subsidies, for example. It also means making the WTO more flexible in its negotiating approaches. I like to think that the WTO is like a tall building where it cannot be just a rigid structure. It needs some elements of flexibility to withstand earthquakes, for example. Trees is the same thing. So flexibility with plurilateral agreements on important topics like digital, related to green issues, related to services, all of these inclusion topics that are very relevant. And finally, I think we need to bring back a dispute settlement system, a fully functional dispute settlement system to the WTO.
Perfect, thank you. Now, reflecting on the WTO's journey, this year marks a significant milestone. It's the 30th anniversary of the Marrakesh Agreement. Our campaign for the celebration is called Spirit of Marrakesh, which embodies the collaboration and optimism that guided the Uruguay round negotiators. Now, given today's challenges where we see fragmentation and protectionism, they're quite prevalent. Also, some might question the relevance of the multilateral trading system and the WTO. In your view, how can we revive the spirit of Marrakesh today?
So I think is by going back to this notion of opportunity. The world has made significant progress. Trade has almost quintupled since the WTO was established 30 years ago, and over 1.5 billion people have been lifted out of poverty. That is very impressive. That is one of the most important achievements that humanity has seen. I think we need to rekindle that spirit, again, with pragmatism, with flexibility, and leveraging this fantastic institution that is the WTO.
Thank you so much, Anabel, for your time and for joining me on Marrakesh Coffee. We really appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Sama, and congratulations on a great initiative.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Stay tuned for more as we have more conversations with trade experts coming soon.